And welcome back to the Dead Truth Podcast. You have Jimmy over there, Dustin, and Chris.
What's going on, guys?
Howdy, good evening, everybody. How are you?
So tonight you want to basically start out, Mr. Dustin. We got a friend with us, Mr. Chris. Mr. Chris, I want to know, man, what got you hooked on The Walking Dead like the rest of us?
Mainly, man, it was about the same parameters. I was going through a particularly hard time in my life and traveling a lot, and the show came out, and kind of stumbled on it on accident in the first season and fell in love with it from that point on. And as me and Dustin got closer, we ended up just started to make trips together, and after that, it was pretty much full-blown Walking Dead fans from then on. Die hard from the get-go.
I got you, man. Well, Dustin.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and I'll let you kick it off tonight. You get it started.
Kick it off.
Like we were saying, what got you started?
I got you.
That's what I want to know. Yeah.
And I apologize. I keep adjusting the monitor because it doesn't look like I'm looking at it. Am I looking straight on? Is that good?
You look perfect. You're handsome.
Beautiful. All right. Wow. The Walking Dead is a part of what I would call my fascination with zombies. Ever since I was a little kid, I had basically been enamored by zombie movies. George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I grew up watching those. Yes, as a kid, I know that's a little morbid, but I did. And I was just a huge zombie fan. From the time I was a little kid, me and my childhood friend that lived behind me, a guy named David Bunton, we would set out. We would spend all day packing our backpacks, getting our guns ready. We'd go to the garage and make weapons and get everything ready to go out and kill zombies that night when it got dark. So I'd like to think that The Walking Dead, that's part of a carryover from my childhood, being enamored with zombies. When I first heard about the show, I was very excited about it because at that time, you didn't really have a zombie show. I was like, wow, where did this come from? So I just started the first episode like most people did, Halloween night, whatever year that it was. And, I was hooked ever since. I was discouraged. I'll say this: I was discouraged at the first episode because, being a big gun fanatic and doing the type of security and protection work that Chris and I do, they were talking about how when Rick was talking to one of his deputies at the car chase scene, he said, "You got to take your safety off your gun." And it's a Glock. Glocks do not have safeties, right? So right there, I was like, I'm not going to watch this show anymore, Yeah. But, we kind of laughed about it. But, all these years later, here we are. But, yeah, I started as a fan just because I was enamored with zombies as a kid. And I don't regret it for 1 second. So.
Well, how I actually got started is kind of crazy, okay? I got a cousin named Jackie. She's married to a guy named Casey. And Casey called me up one day and he goes, "Man, you got to check the show out." And I'm like, "Yeah, what is it?" He goes, "It's got zombies in it." And I said, "Hold, stop. I don't want to watch that crap. I don't like zombies. Kind of scared, I really wasn't into it. But I said, okay, I'll start watching it. So the very next day when I was at work, my ex-wife actually came into work, and she had a little friend with her from her job come in there and said, "Hey, something's filming down here at Caldwell Tanks. Let's go see what it is." I was like, "Yeah, let's go do that." So I got off work around about 7 o'clock. They had just started filming. I went down there. This is base camp. Even before the show started, I even watched the show. Base camp was right there. walked up, Lori Holden sitting there petting the dog, and I'm like, who is that lady? And this guy named Homer that we actually do autographs with was standing there, and he was trying to get autographs from her. I was like, well, that girl's got to be important. So I kind of stayed back. I was scared, didn't want to mess with it. I was like, no, it's too much for me. I can't jump in that crowd. So that's the funny part. Everybody knows me because I'm always in the crowd. But at that point, I was really scared. So I said, no, let's go watch filming. Let's go watch filming. So we walked around and got in front of Colwell, and they had these big booms. They had smoke rising. This was the scene where, the governor's men had started, trying to kill Rick and them. They just came in there and they were firing upon him. And I remember the guns firing down, and I'm like, whatever this is, I got to watch it. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is, I got to watch it. So I asked one of the people there, and I was like, what show is this? He like, The Walking Dead. I'm like, oh, the one Casey told me about. I said, okay. So I went home, I watched the show, and I was like, oh crap, man, this is kind of cool. I don't like zombies, but this is really awesome. I got to watch, my hometown on TV, and that was the awesome factor. And I remember the next day they were filming the Clear episode in Grantville, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're filming in Grantville, but I got to go see what it is. So we went down there, and Cindy Sumner was down there, and they had Morgan on top of the actual apartment complex, the building itself, and we got to watch that scene being filmed. We didn't, keep in mind, we didn't bother anybody, we didn't talk to anybody. We were scared at that point. So once I got off my feet a little bit, we started doing like baseball autographs for it. So it's where I kind of got it crunk up, and everybody knows me now because I used to run after autographs all the time. But it's kind of interesting fact, I was so scared I wouldn't even get one.
Yeah, with your little red wagon.
You know what? I would bring boxes out because people would talk crap about me. So the bigger box I brought, the more they get mad. So I was trying to find refrigerator boxes at that point, just to prove a fact I could do it.
I'll never forget the first stalking experience. That was about a year after Jimmy was supposed to call me back. Those of you that watched the show last week, took Jimmy a year to call me, and I missed the school. I'll probably mention that every episode. I'm sorry, but anyway, about a year later, I'm down there with Jimmy and Griffin. I'll never forget. I dropped everybody off, and Jim was like, yeah, I'm good. And I said, well, do you want me to take you up with everybody else? No, I got to get my stuff together. And Jimmy comes out, and he's got this cart that he's pulling along the side of him, and it's like he had it built up with these sideboards and posters and Funko Pops and dolls, and I was like, man, I could have drove him up there.
It's like Joe Dirt with his asteroid.
Joe Dirt with his asteroid. I think I would have got less shit for Joe Dirt with his asteroid. But that's the point. I'm still hooked up on Funkos. I got them all behind me. My Walking Dead ones are on my right, but yours is behind you. I noticed you got some behind you too. So we can talk all we want to.
Nothing like yours, but nothing like yours at all. That was one of my first fond memories of Jimmy. Was the little red wagon. You still have that wagon by chance, or is it? It's probably a relic now. I can probably.
I had the poster tube for a long time. I don't know. I used to have this big poster tube that was actually industrial. You could actually take it and turn it and pull it out, and it was hard plastic. And you could take the top off, put the poster in there. The poster was never harmed. Thing cost me about $50, but that was the coolest poster tube ever. And
it was so cool, not to interrupt you, that at the airport one time, that $50 poster tube almost cost us 50 years in jail.
A long time.
Chris and I do work for Homeland Security, and we're at the airport with Brother Jimmy. He's got his poster tube, which, look, when I say tube, it was like longer than what you all can see on the screen. And so Jimmy goes ahead of us because one of us had to stop to use the little boys' room. All of a sudden we hear there's a man in the airport with a bazooka. So around, we're talking to the security people like, hey, we've got, our firearms and stuff. We'll help you guys if you need anything. And lo and behold, there's Jimmy over near one of the cafes with his poster tube. But,
Well, the thing about it was I even carried Lucille around for a while. Like the Lucille, Sean Watson had this bat he had made. And he's like, hey, man, next time you go to the airport to get autographs, take my bat with you. And I'm like, how am I supposed to get a Lucille into the airport? So I stuck in my poster tube, and I'd be damn if I didn't get this bitch done.
Meanwhile, Jimmy's going to get a knock on the door
during the podcast.
Yep.
TSA is going to show up.
I ain't worried about TSA. No, I ain't worried about them. They're the only jurisdiction they got in the airport. I'm fine here. But anybody else that has any stories they want to tell about walker stalking or about just your fandom in general, call the number. It should be at the bottom of the screen.
Challenge, guys. First of all, last week we really appreciate the support. This is a new show, okay, and it's either going to sink or swim. But we really, really want it to swim, and we need your guys' support. So I'm going to throw down a challenge. Those of you that are my friends that are watching this, our connections we've made, The Walking Dead, doesn't matter if you're just a fan of the show, if you're one of those that we know that's on the show. I want one of you to call in tonight and talk to us. And what I want you to talk about is simply, like Jimmy said, what got you into the show? Because we want to go back here to the beginning a little bit and talk about, what got you as an individual into where you are 10 years later in your life invested to this point. So please take my challenge. And I'm going to wait for that one lovely person as we continue to talk.
Somebody is enjoying your beards, by the way. Mr. Casey is Miller. Yeah, Casey Miller. He's enjoying y'all's beard. If you can read his little comment to the side right there.
Shoot.
Yeah.
So are the comments not, let me ask this, are the comments not on the Facebook thing?
It's actually, he's got it made where you actually see it on Skype right here as well. That's where I have mine at, yeah. So, you see him?
I see it on Skype, but I can't see it good if I blow it up.
Oh, you're good, buddy. You're good. So, Mr. Chris.
Yes, sir.
What's your funniest moment watching the show when it's actually filming, when we're actually out stalking?
So your funniest stalking experience.
I guess, man, there's been some good ones. I guess one of the funniest / craziest, I guess would fall under that category as well, is when a certain individual, won't mention any names, was down there, and he's a little fella that would come down and watch filming, and that was at the time when they were doing quite a bit of filming in the downtown Sonoya, Alexandria. Mm-hmm. And Norman would just ride his bike in front of the set. He'd just roll up in there on it. He didn't really ever use the shuttle much. He'd ride his own bike in. And when he would pull up, they would have to take a minute to open up the gates and let him through. And this particular individual that was down there, bless his heart, he's totally in love with Norman and is convinced that he's really Daryl in real life. And he took off running while he was waiting on the gate to open, and pretty much drug him off his motorcycle while he was sitting there waiting on the gates to open. So that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen, and that's kind of what got us involved in that little aspect of the show, is helping out with that particular individual. And I mean, yeah, he was harmless, but at the same time, it was something that you don't necessarily think is going to happen or ever think you're going to see happen. So that was it was funny at the beginning, and then it escalated into, well, this is kind of crazy.
One of my favorite things was always playing tricks on the other fans that were new around there. Like,
yep.
We've been doing it for a long time, so when the new people got down there, they were all excited and stuff. So they had got used to Norman riding up on his motorcycle every day after filming. So usually when mopeds rode down the street, anytime I seen a moped at all, I always scream Norman, and they all get excited till the moped actually rode by. Then they get mad. Right. But it was pretty hilarious. What was the biggest joke you ever played on fans?
Oh man, golly! So back when Norman had his infamous Jeep, everybody knew that Norman had a Jeep, and you could literally, some of these girls, the fandom of Daryl, they could spot Jeep headlights from a mile away. So we would make it a point, because we always kind of park near the back, to be able to get out and stuff. We'd make it a point to walk up by somebody and say, "Hey, we heard Norman's getting ready to leave. The Daryl's going to be coming out." And Chris and I would go get in the Jeep, and we would circle back around, And we'd come back up where the road was, and we'd start driving real slow, and you could just literally see them. I remember one time at Sophia's church, I'll never forget it. We saw, it looked like a zombie horde. Like I thought we had drove into filming, and it was the horde of girls running across the street to get, near the road, because they thought they saw Jeep headlights and they thought that was Norman.
Yeah.
And we did that. That was one of the funniest things that we would do. Anytime we saw a motorcycle, because Norman and his motorcycles are infamous in town, and anytime we'd see a motorcycle, we'd have some youth fans there in good humor. We'd say, "Hey, look, there's Norman," and you could hear a motorcycle just coming up through the street and say it, and people just stop and freeze, and that was always good.
I think I'm gonna give away one of my secrets. Okay, this is what I do. So what I do is I find the prettiest girl there at filming that day, and I had pre-made a sign that says today's my birthday. So when I get that girl to come out there and hold that sign, I think me and Greg Whaley and I think Brett Helmitzky was sitting on the side of the road one day, and I handed this one girl the sign, and she was running back and forth all happy and stuff. And I looked at Greg, I'm like, it's kind of like Baywatch, ain't it? He goes, "Oh my God, yes." So by that time, you seen Josh McDermott ride around the curve. He had to do a double take. He ended up stopping, almost like killed himself to stop for that girl. That was one of my little secrets, though. I always find the best looking girl there.
Yeah.
Hand her the sign and let him go at it.
Yep.
Oh, I got to have some shout outs to Jeff Wagner. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. And Christina Fernandez. I fully expect you to call in here tonight. Fully expect it. I love you.
Oh, yeah, we got Wagner.
Yep.
Wish I could scroll back, and I can't see the comments on Facebook, and I wish I could see those. I'm not seeing.
I pull it up on my phone and just watch them go down. I actually turn down my phone all the way and then watch it go down.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, Mr. Wagner, Christina, one of you guys, I'm expecting to call in.
Fully expect it.
But yeah, because I want to hear more stories. I want to hear what got you guys into. I want to hear what got you into your Walking Dead fandom, because guys, it's become a cult. I mean, let's look at it. It's not my generation, but I hear about MASH all the time. That was a big show back in the day, and it has this cult following. And that, to me, this is what The Walking Dead is. So we would love to hear your stories.
I remember going to filming, and literally there'd be like 3 of us there. And I remember going to Walker Stalker. I want to say 3 or 4. I can't really remember. But I remember going from that 3 people going to Walker Stalker and actually looking over the crowd that day and seeing about 30,000 people there and saying, wow, this thing has really grown. And that's when it actually hit reality to me, how big the show was. At that point, I had no idea. I was still thinking it was my little show that was hidden back in my backyard. So, Mr. Baker, I don't talk about this much, but could you tell them why you come out here the first time, the reason why you come down here the first time?
Oh, wow. This is the moment I would like somebody to call in.
Not to mention, why'd you keep coming down here?
You love putting me on the spot. Yeah.
I do. That's what the point is.
Well, okay. So, I basically, like I said, I started watching the show as a fan. And I had, unfortunately, right around season, what was that, Jenny? Into season 2, 3. You started, when did you go to film? You started, what, season 3?
I started actually going to watch the filming when they were filming season 3. Season 2, it was already airing. Yes, I watched season 2 and I think the 3rd episode on.
That started practice. I can't see the live video that's there with the current comments.
And I had a question. It says, "What's this podcast about?" Podcast is about basically The Walking Dead and the fans. So we're telling our stories. We want y'all to call and tell us y'all's. Why do you love the show? Why are you passionate about The Walking Dead? What makes you, such a big fan of it? And I want to know this. I want to know why you do what you do. Mr. Baker wants to know.
You have a caller on line 1. You have a caller on line 1.
Okay. Hey, how you doing? It's caller on line 1.
Hola.
Hey, what's up?
I believe I recognize that voice.
Oh, yeah.
Christina.
the one and only, the Christina Fernandez. How are you?
Oh, I'm recovering, guys.
Recovering for what?
Well, I had foot surgery.
Oh,
Y'all
I've
haven't
completely
seen
dropped the
you
ball.
haven't seen the post?
No,
Yeah,
I'll be honest
yeah.
with you. Yeah. No.
Jimmy's been a hermit lately.
Actually, Jimmy, I'm scooting around on your old scooter.
You got my old scooter. Does it still got the bumpy wheel
I
on one
do,
side?
Marlene. Well, it works good for me. Marlene
Okay.
brought it to me a long time ago.
There you
Yeah.
go. Ain't nothing wrong with that scooter.
But anyway, no, it's scooting around. I can't walk. I haven't walked for 2 months, so
I got you.
I had foot surgery. They had to reconstruct my foot. But anywho,
so I was
I'm
wondering,
living.
Miss Christina, I was wondering. I know you were originally from Florida, right?
Yeah,
What made you come to
New York, aka Florida, but you know.
I got you. So when did you move here, and what was the reasoning?
Oh, some show called Walking Dead. That's why I came.
So let me make sure.
It's been a
Let me
while
make sure I
ago.
understand this, and the viewers here. This not to interrupt you. You're saying that you moved to Georgia because of The Walking Dead. Is that correct? That's
yeah,
my
actually, we were just telling. Yeah, and actually, we were just telling a story the other day. Actually, yesterday with Cindy, and some people that we met down at filming. We were telling last night that we came down because I heard that I started watching Walking Dead, and I looked online and I seen that you can meet. I seen people meeting the fans and stuff. So we decided we would come on down and one weekend and do that. And from then on, we fell in love with Sonoy. And oh God, we've been here probably almost 7 years now.
Wow, yeah, that's phenomenal.
And yeah, and we knew after a few weeks of coming down here that we were going to move here. I mean, and now we own property here and we live here, and it's our town, and it's great. I was just telling someone last night. I said the people we have met over all the years, and the friends. I had friends come down from Illinois last night that met me at filming years ago, and they they came, and as soon as they came into town, they called me to come to town. And so the friendships that we got, Dustin, Chris, Jimmy, all y'all, Oscar. I mean, everybody. We were talking about Oscar yesterday. I said I remember when Oscar first came to town. I took him around and showed him stuff, and we just have great family. It ain't even friends; it's family.
I agree with you. I think Oscar was the biggest character I ever met. Like from all the fans, I think he was the funnest.
Oh yeah, I wish I had a third of his energy or a fourth, but and Christina, this is Dustin. Let me hone in on something there, because you actually tied into something that I was talking about a little bit last week, or we were talking about last week. If somebody would have told me that I was going to watch a TV show, and just simply from watching that show that I would then visit where it was filmed, and within a year want to move there, reside there, and that outside of just that alone, that I would meet people that I would consider family, because we all say that it's a Walking Dead family, and a lot of folks see the groups talking about it. But guys, I'm telling you, it really is family. There's connections that I have, with some of you that I've met only because of the Walking Dead. We would have never crossed paths, I don't believe, in any other way. But those connections, I mean, it means the world. But to hone in on that, Christina, thank you for telling us that. And you just mentioned that you moved here and bought property, and just tell us kind of why this show allows you to do that, or what it meant to you. Kind of the combination of the friends that you made and things that led to that for you. what was it that kind of made you have that ultimate decision?
Dustin, I can't hear you a lot, but I can hear you a little bit. Watching the show and being out there with everybody else and people come, we all share the same love. I can remember, you have to go out there. You can't go out there with an attitude or thinking that because sometimes we go out there and people had attitudes and, because they're out there and I remember telling people one time, we all share the same love. We're all out here for the same thing. And that, just watching the show and you know what, not only that is the character, Norman and Jeffrey and I can keep going on, but they all down to earth people. They all Greg, they don't just they don't forget who you are. They know who you are. If they meet you, they know who you are, and that's the thing that means a lot, and I think that family that comes from The Walking Dead and how we know their family that play on the show, it just spreads us onto us, we have that same thing bond as being fans.
Yeah, I agree with you. People ask me a lot, why do you go to Georgia as much as you do, and this was back at the beginning, but simply put, just having, when you tell them that you feel like you belong to the show as a fan, or you feel like that you were a part of it, they kind of look at you funny, but at least what I'm hearing you say, and I'm in full agreement, we really are, and I'll always make the argument that The Walking Dead, I think it was going to get as big as it was anyway, but I can't help but to think how big it really has gotten because of what The Walking Dead allowed the fans to do by being there and having interactions and being able to be near filming, and but I really feel like a part of it as well. So
most definitely.
Hey, Christina,
you think of
I got
the
a question
stories that we tell.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, you think of the stories that we can tell, and the fun that we had. And, someone asked me last night, we were talking about The Walking Dead last night because I was hanging out down in Sonoy. And I said, they were like, why'd you, I said, this was our escape. This was great. This is when I didn't want to be an adult no more. This is where I went to with my friends. It was like you kind of reliving your younger life all over again, or your younger days with your friends, and we all share the same thing, and you can forget about your problems for the moment, and then you're all hanging out and we're just having a good time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
What's your
don't ask me
craziest...
Don't ask me nothing that I could be telling. I don't want to be telling all the secrets.
Remember this now. We don't have to say names. We don't have to give out any of that. But what's the craziest thing that you've ever seen while you were stalking? And what's the funniest thing you've seen while stalking?
Oh, the craziest thing that I've seen. Oh my God, there's too many. One time we were out in Griffin, and it was crazy because we didn't expect it, but we were all out in Griffin, and that when they were shooting, I don't remember what season it was, but it was when Rick ran over the cop, and they were filming out there, and to see Rick come across, ride that police car around that, to me, that was crazy. Here you are out there, and all of a sudden, here comes, Andrew Lincoln, ride the police car right beside you, and right out there. To me, that was kind of crazy, to see. And what was the other question?
What's the funniest thing you've seen the fans do at set?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I don't tell anything about
this.
I can tell on myself. I'll tell on myself.
Podcast is to be included in that.
I'll tell on myself. Well, we know we've seen fans get like poison ivy. We won't say no names though. You know, we all know who got poison ivy and where they got it at. But anyway, she knows I love her, so that I can say that. But me, I think one of the funniest things was one of the seasons, and I think it was back in 4. We were watching, and I think I don't know if Jimmy, you were out there that day, but we were over there by Jamie's house, and we ended up meeting Michonne and them that day, and they were filming at the old place where the governor had shot up. But that day it was so funny because we were hiding in the horse farm, a horse stable, and watching filming because they were set up, and some lady owned it, and we didn't know who she was, but we act like we were helping her do something, and she ended up locking us in her ranch. But we were out there, we got front row seats to watching the walkers walk up and down the street while they were filming. And security's like, how in the world did you guys are going to tell me you own this place too? I was like, oh yeah, sure, we do. And so it was time for us to get out of there, but the lady had locked us in and we couldn't get out. Me and another girl was locked up in there.
Wow.
And it was pretty crazy because I couldn't jump over the fence. And so later on that day, the crazy other thing was the girl who was riding with me in the car. If she was listening, she would know. But she rode with me in the car, and we had watched them put all the setup in the woods. We knew where they were setting up for the next day because we were following them. And she had jumped out, and she wrote Andrew Lincoln a love letter, and she went and put it in the woods. And it wasn't who you think it is, Dustin.
That's exactly where I was going with it.
No, you know, if we think Andrew Lincoln, we know is someone that starts with a D last name. No other names, but you know. But this girl had wrote the letter, jumped out of my car, and ran into the woods. And I was shaking my head. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be arrested. So yeah, that was pretty funny.
You know, and it kind of goes right back and ties all in. That, you know, the fandom, the feelings, the camaraderie just makes us or made us all do crazy things that were mostly safe and legal for the most part. And I appreciate you calling in. I actually, if you don't mind, I have another question for you because I'd like to do a slight transition here because one thing we're trying to do here on the show is, other than talking about, we want a totality of things to talk about. And if you don't mind, can I keep you on for a little bit longer and ask something? Because I would love to hear your thoughts and opinion on something, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good deal. So, you know, and guys, to the listeners, those of you that are hearing this right now, you're hearing some of the funny stories and just the friendships we've made and the tales that we have. And that was kind of at the heightened part of the show. That was, back on what we call the good old days. And unfortunately, a lot of us that have been there from day one, and some of you guys that come in here before some transitions were made, we've saw kind of a decline or a fall, and with the convention, and we saw kind of us lose that as fans, not be able to have access, like we used to. And so what I would like to ask you, Christina, is kind of tell me, if you have a personal feeling or belief, kind of the fall, because I know a lot of that was associated with the convention and some of the negativity that come out of that. What changes have you saw from the good old days to now, and most recently with the things that have occurred?
Jimmy, tell me what he said because I can't. He's muffled. I can't hear him. I heard about the convention, and that was about it.
Yeah, he wants to know the difference between now and then, right, Dustin, as far as the convention goes?
Yeah, basically, right now, the big elephant in the room, or the big thing with the Walking Dead community right now, of course, is our loss of the Walker Stalker convention. And, what I was asking Christina was basically, if you go from the good old days until the current or the most recent, where the convention's not here anymore, just maybe her input on that or her thoughts on that, you know, kind of like we talked about last week, you know, stories that we knew, things like that. Oh.
Did you hear that, Christina?
I heard some of it. I think I don't want to answer it wrong, but I think he was saying like the convention in the beginning, and then the convention towards the end, right?
And the loss of the convention.
You know, it is a great loss. I mean, you know, I seen James. I worked Walker Stalker, you know, a couple years, and I really didn't. You know, I knew him. I seen him and Eric when they came around and stuff in the very beginning and different things like that. But I really didn't get involved with him too much. But you know, I really didn't like his attitude and the different things. But you know, in the very beginning of the convention, they were awesome. You know, I think back on the times that, man, we had so much fun. You know, and I know you guys can say the same thing. I mean, that was around my birthday. It was just great. I mean, we hanged out, we had fun, and you know, wasn't thinking about, you know, no chaos or anything like that. And you know, but each year that you went, you've seen it different. In the very beginning, when you volunteered, it was like great. You know, it was a great thing, a great feeling. You got rewarded for what you did. But every year that went past, it seemed like it was declining, you know, and and it's sad that it's sad because it came to what it did, you know, that it came to an end because it was such a great thing because you had the fans, you had the stars together, and we got to hang out. I mean, we took the whole weekend. I mean, that whole weekend, Friday to Sunday. Here we are just hanging out with family, because I don't even see them as stars. I just see them as family. Yeah. You know. Yeah, I agree. You know, we talked about it. We talked about it yesterday. I was, you know, we got, you know, Cindy and them are doing, and Steven are all doing a new tour down in Sonoy, the water tower tour. They're doing that in Collin. And I happened to, like I said, I went down to the Woodbury shop. If you haven't been down there, go down there. They revamped it, and it has a new museum. And they have some cool stuff in there from all the seasons.
Yeah, I was trying to wait till Dustin come down there to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But I went down there to go check it out. But Steven told me that Cindy was down at the shop, so I had Tony push me down there because I'm in a wheelchair right now. And he had pushed me down there, and we sat down there and talked to Cindy, and we were talking about all this. You know, we were talking about James and what happened at Walker Stalker and how this, you know, it sucks that it came to that. And, you know, I think I can remember, if you want to know, I remember the day that I seen him he had a table with his picture, like signings and stuff like that. When I seen that, I said, this guy's really went off the edge. I said, what in the world? He's not nobody. Why would he be wanting us to get his autograph? You know, to me, that was kind of crazy. You know, I thought about Eric too. I said, you almost wonder, is this why Eric left years before this happened? You know, but I think it's a sad thing that, you know, people would take advantage of, you know, even Cindy was talking about like Kari, Cooper, you know, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. We all seen him, how he you know, how he tweeted about James and the convention. You know, that it makes it bad for everybody else, but I'm just glad that we can have a new thing coming up, you know, like what Oscar's doing and, you know, what the camp and stuff like that, it you know, but I always think to myself, and I pray for them, that they would stay little in their eyes, because even with Oscar or Scott or whoever wants to do a con, that they would stay little and always remember, if it wasn't for us, there wouldn't be a con. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You answered that perfectly, and I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm trying out a different microphone.
No good.
I will get that corrected by next week, I promise. But I mean, yeah, thank you for that, because, like Jimmy and I were talking today, there's a lot of folks that haven't had the privilege to come to Georgia to check out the places, to have our experiences. And this is what we want part of this podcast to do. We want to share from a local or a transplant person's ideologies of what they've experienced, so these other folks can experience that and kind of understand the background. So you did great. And I'd like to go ahead and throw out there too, because you brought up Oscar. The camp, Oscar Rodriguez does a great job with the camp. Chris and I, we run security for it. And guys, just if you're looking for something that is a great experience, something that you can come to and have fun, and like we're talking, that you get to have this family atmosphere with the celebrities. If you guys want that, the camp's convention is coming up October 22nd, 2020. It's going to be a weekend. It's going to be a fun time. I promise you that you will have an amazing time. You will meet amazing people. You will leave with memories, and you will leave with friends that will become family, like we've been talking about on this show. So if you guys get a chance or you have any questions, feel free to hit up me or Jimmy, Chris, anybody that you can that's been part of the podcast, participating. I see people like Kim Raker and Jeff Wagner. We all have info for that. And we would love to have you come be a part of that and share some experiences with us and become our new family and friends.
Christina, you think that losing the lady that was really close to James in the convention changed James at all?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's a thing where if you, I don't know. I just really think that, his head got a little bit bigger than what it needed to be. And sometimes fandom does that to people where, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know. Because I'm not him. And, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
I
think after the third convention. I'm sorry, there's a delay. I think after the third convention.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah. I think after that third convention, I started noticing different things that changed with James and Eric. I knew them before the convention. And when we told people what was going on, me and my ex, I was pretty much told that we were kind of, stupid. So I kind of look at that and look back now and what I seen change in James. Eric never treated me any different, but James did. Excuse my language. So that's what kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of my thoughts on it.
Well, and the thing is with him is that we just don't know. He's got to know, and he's got to answer for that, and and if he was really and truly a fan and loved the show as much as we did, he probably would come back with a big apology, and that can go a long way. So
completely agree.
I think that's something like you just said. We're hoping, with this podcast, maybe to be that platform for him, to be that platform for other people. We know that there's a lot of guys, and a lot of folks, I should say, that have lost money, have lost opportunity. They started businesses basically to come in and do, work with Walker Stalker, as a vendor. And we hope this shows a platform for that. We would love to hear from you guys. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear your experiences. And, I think that Christina hit it there on the head with, the apology being something that would go a long way. But, that's what this podcast is about. It's family talking, friends talking, and we have questions. And, there's a lot of folks that would love answers. And I appreciate you saying that.
So I appreciate you guys, and I told Cindy and I told a few other people about you guys' podcast because I'm excited about that for y'all, and thanks for asking me questions and allowing me to be on there. I think it's pretty cool, Jimmy, and y'all what you're doing. So I'll support you guys and listen.
Yeah. Well, we want this podcast not to be about us. I want this podcast to be about all of us. I felt like we were the forgotten ones and the ones that were looked down on through all this, because I think when they started charging money, I feel like that we were looked at as something negative, and I don't want us to be seen that way. I want us to be seen as a positive light. The people who were coming down there to see Norman and Andy and the show were just fans. There was nothing to look bad on. I feel like we lost a aspect of the show when they started coming out. I felt like we lost a big part of that show. I think that's how some of the show lost its thunder, because we were able to come out there and see everything and enjoy it. Christina, I love you, girl. I do. And I love everybody, and that's where I wanted us to be part of everything.
Yeah, Jimmy, I have to second that and say that that's something we talked about last week. One of the best feelings in the world was to be with the people that you cared about and know that you were at something that you could watch the TV show 6 months later and say, I was there that day and I knew what happened, or I saw that outfit, or, you would have the speculation of who might have got hurt or, even killed. And, that's something that it's definitely, I don't understand the viewer ratings or anything like that, but I know that what it was back in the day and the people that went down. I mean, the money I spent, my CPA used to fuss at me, but I was like, I have to go. I mean, it was an addiction. Some people have bass boats and some people have, hobbies that they do. We had The Walking Dead, and of course, it's been great to us, from a friendship perspective and family perspective, and Chris and I doing security with the cast and private work and things, but it's definitely a hurt not to have that there. And I'm hoping that's something they regain, because I would love those of you viewers who've not had a chance to experience that. I would love for it to come back, and would love for it to be there.
Totally agree.
Which the camp is a good place to, if you want the most surreal feeling as it was back in the day, the camp's a good place to get that same feeling. It's not exactly because you don't get to see them filming, but you still get to interact with them, and it ain't just a cattle line where ran through the line and they sign something, take a picture, and you're pushed on through so they can get 100 more people. It's a different experience Oscar and them's created, and it's probably the closest thing right now that you can get to the old school feeling that you would get watching them film.
Yeah, I agree fully.
And Christine, I got one more favor to ask you. I don't know if Kim is a part of everything anymore, but I would like her to call the show, because I want a original Walker Stalker. I mean, a true blood original Walker Stalker to call the show. I want somebody who was there like the first week of filming.
They're OGs.
Mm-hmm. That's
Kim,
what I want.
You got Kim, Rebecca, Cindy. Oh my God! What about? Let's not leave out. What's Petey's wife husband's Dean? Man, you talking about the OGs? Those are OGs right there, man.
That's what I want. I want those guys. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of would want Dean on here, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah,
Dean would be awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Dean, I remember Dean when he was giving tours with his little red backpack. Remember that? Do you remember that, Jimmy?
I'll be honest with you.
Dean used to give tours back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that, but I got to tell this story about Dean real quick. Dean pissed me off more than anybody's ever pissed me off. Okay, did you go to the birthday party? Did you go to his birthday party, Cindy? Like before Cindy was there?
Where they had it at, where Merle's bar was?
Yes. Okay.
Is this something else I didn't get invited to?
I didn't go.
This is before you, Dustin.
I didn't get to go because that was the year my son. That was the year my son died. I didn't get to go.
Yeah.
All right, listen up, okay? So Dean has this great party, okay? And I remember Paula Tebby and all of us went there, and this is back in the early days. I mean, it was really early. And we were all excited to go to Dean's birthday party, and we give him all these damn gifts and everything. And we were at Zach Brown's bar. I mean, Carrie from the Woodbury shop and all the girls around us was humping on Norman's little stand up. It was great. And at the end of the party, I swear to God, Dean goes, but he said, my birthday's in 6 months, but thanks for the free shit. He walked out the front door. I'm like, that motherfucker. I was like, oh my God. That's just the way
that
Dean
would
was.
be Dean.
Yeah, he said, thanks
That
for the free shit.
How did you all get his birthday
Ralph
6
Walker
months ahead?
Stalker.
Because he said his birthday was false on Facebook, and that was his true birthday. So we're like, let's go celebrate Dean's party. And he's like, it's a way to drink and just have fun. And he had a fake birthday party for himself. That pissed me off more than anything.
No, I got you. Yeah, just,
Man, the last Walker Stalker with Dean was awesome. Man, he got us into places that we couldn't get into. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
Dean's awesome though. He's awesome. Yeah, he is. He's part of that. He's part of that crowd though. I actually did talk to Kim and tell Kim about it. I'm gonna talk to her this week. I'll talk to her this. Maybe we can get her on there on Sunday. Because man, Kim got some stories too. Kim got stories.
All right, girl. We're gonna.
Kim got videos, man.
I bet she does. All right.
Well, guys, I'm gonna have to get off here too, but I'm gonna listen a little bit longer. But y'all, it was a pleasure being on here, and I'm looking forward to what y'all are gonna be doing. So for all of us.
Well, no problem, honey. You have a good night, okay?
You too. Bye, guys. Bye, Chris. Bye,
Christina,
Dustin.
we love you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Come down and see me. Come see me. I miss you.
I'm working on that. I promise.
I'll hold them to it.
All right. Bye.
Bye, sweetie. Yeah, wow. See, guys, that was awesome, and that's why we want you guys to call in and to share stories. But and Jimmy, if you don't mind, I know that we've just got a few minutes left here on air. But what I'd like to do is kind of take Christina's call and transition that into maybe our leading up to the closing, if that would be okay.
Go for it.
Everything, because we've had a couple questions pop up. Last week I shared the podcast with a group that I didn't know that was against the rules, but they have been awesome to us. And I'll post a link to that Facebook group. They're a tight-knit group of people. But I started getting questions funneled in. We've had a couple on the chat, and then those of you that are listening, that's listening to me and Jimmy and Chris talk to Christina, they're like, "What in the world are you guys talking about?" What we're trying to do here with this show is basically let it be the platform, as I said earlier, for everybody who were original Walker Stalkers, fans, old fans, new fans, to simply talk about The Walking Dead. There's going to be topics, specifically that we have each week for you. When the episodes come back on, we're going to have things that we talk about in the episodes, maybe even do an after show if time permits. But we want to talk about, the rise and fall of Walker Stalker. We want to talk about our stalking experiences, with Christina calling and talking about the relationships and everything that she did. Because we want you to hear that. And if you're listening and you're like, well, it doesn't even make sense to me, if you listen long enough, I promise you will all tie in, especially those of you, if you can come and fellowship with us when we're in Georgia. It's all going to tie in nicely together. But we want this to be a conglomeration of, a collaboration, I should say, of stories and fans and feelings and memories to keep The Walking Dead in our lives while it's not being filmed right now, not on air.
All right, guys. We're going to be on the air next week around the same time. Not really set in stone, around 9 o'clock, 9:30, same as always. When the show comes up, we're actually going to do it something a little different. We're going to go air before the show starts. Also, you can reach us at the Dead Truth Podcast on, I think it was Google there. Also, we have a YouTube channel. You feel free to share it on there. And y'all come back and see us next week. Thank you for joining us, Chris. You can come back and join us anytime, buddy, okay? All right. Been a pleasure, man. Hey, we got to get more into your story, by the way, okay?
We'll get into some good stories as time goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want to hear some of your creepy stuff there in trucks. I will be quiet. Anyway, guys, until next week. We'll see you.
Absolutely. Love you guys. Thank you.
Walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed?
I'd like to have a calm discussion on this topic. Do you think we can manage that?
The world ended. Didn't you get the memo?
We ain't even having this conversation.
Hey, mister, you even know what's going on?
Come down here, let's have that talk.
Hey, you alive in there?
We got a mission too. It's keeping that man alive, getting him to Washington, and saving the whole damn world.